If you've ever flown across the state, from your window you'll see quilt-like patches of land. Once you're on the ground, you'll see those patches are really the heartland of Ohio.
The only thing I've ever known is farming.
Some people say farming's in your blood, and I guess you could say it's probably in my blood. It's what my grandpa, both my grandparents did, what my dad did. Hopefully my children and their children get the same opportunity that I've had.
Done everything on this farm, from hand weeding to now running the farm. So I grew up, and this has been in my blood ever since.
Over the past 3 years, we've taken you around the state to look into the life of the Ohio farmer. We've seen it all, from corn to soybeans, longhorn cattle to free-range chicken, and every piece of produce in between. While corn and soybeans are the most prevalent crops, Ohio grows over 200 different commodities, and some of them might surprise you.
I guess I would call myself a coral farmer, and I raise corals. I just thought it would be an interesting thing to do, and I enjoyed watching my corals grow and dealing with on a daily basis. It's like the one thing that actually kept my interest over all these years. There's a misconception in the hobby that corals take a long time for them to develop and to grow into a reef. Well, that may be true, but for the coral actually to grow itself, it doesn't take a lot of time. I mean, some corals can actually grow and divide on their own by dividing by fission. You could actually cut them up and glue them to rocks and rubber band them to rocks. Divide them by yourself to encourage them to grow. So just on a weekly basis, I probably spend, I don't know, maybe 20 hours propagating corals.
People always ask me at work, if Todd took classes in college. I think he took like a marine biology class, but it really didn't have anything pertaining to this. We both started off with a small aquarium, and he just kind of is self-taught, so that's kind of, the internet back then, there wasn't much internet access. So we did a lot of reading and trial and error, I think, is pretty much how we figured out a lot of stuff. But yeah, it's kind of neat to be able to say my husband's a coral farmer.
I started growing bamboo in 1978. At that time, I was in the insurance business, and I had an agency up in Centerville. And that gave me the luxury of having the time and the income to travel and to research, because bamboo wasn't very common in our climate during that particular time. And I wanted to find out what would grow well here. And I called the Agricultural Department for Ohio, and I said, give me everything that you have on bamboo. And he knew nothing. So that's when my quest began. I planted my first pots, about 10 of them, in 1978. I wanted to find out what would grow well here. So I purchased different varieties and species and so on. And I brought them home and I trial grew them. And I found out what would do well in our climate and what would not do well in our climate. And so, what's the old saying, how do you learn? By making mistakes? Well, I think I've helped a lot of people from making mistakes by finding out which will do well. There are over 1,200 different varieties in the world. However, most of them in southwestern Ohio aren't going to tolerate our winters. Well, I usually pick out about 2 dozen that will do well in our climate, and I don't go much further than that. We do have 30 different kinds because people are, of course, entitled to push the envelope. But those that will do well, those are the ones we push.
Traditionally, bamboo grows all around the equator. There's actually a Native American bamboo here in this country and all countries except Europe and the poles.
Well, a lot of people don't realize that there are more species growing in Central and South America than there are in Asia. Many people don't realize that. They think of it as an Asian plant.
This might look like just a normal farm pond, but what you can't see underneath are all the shrimp that are in here. When we tell people that we grow shrimp, their first response is, what? Shrimp in Ohio? When shrimp farming first started in Ohio, there were probably less than 50,000 shrimp actually stocked in the entire state. In the last 4 years, that's grown to about 300,000 to 500,000 that are stocked in the state. We've grown from maybe 3 or so growers around the state to about 35. And they're scattered all over the entire state. So chances are you're within 50 miles of someone who's growing freshwater shrimp.
From spring planting to the fall harvest, thousands of dollars are invested into each crop. This makes unexpected costs and setbacks all the more painful because in this business, time is money.
Yeah. What's wrong? Broke. Bye. Our big tractor's broke.
Uh-oh, what happened?
The belt that runs the fan, the serpentine belt,
Yeah?
broke.
Really?
It got hot. That's what Alan's doing. He this time of year, he keeps everything rolling, my brother. They'll get her fixed, I'm sure of that.
Well, this field should have been done. I should have had another 20 acres done. And that with that fan belt, serpentine belt breaking, I lost 3 hours there, and I lost another hour here. That's 4 hours. That been another 20 acres real easy.
While a breakdown in machinery can be an untimely mishap, it pales in comparison to another unpredictable element of farming, Mother Nature.
Very much slaves of the weather. You know, when the weather is good, you know, we're very happy. You know, when the weather is miserable, you know, we have problems planting, we have problems getting in our vineyards and doing the types of activities that we need to be doing as well.
The American farmer feeds an average of 129 people a day. It's a heavy burden, but in Ohio, these farmers rise to the occasion with the sun and don't stop working until it's set.
You gotta love what you do, and farming is one of those things. Some guys take to it and others don't. We've been farming here for a long, long time, and we enjoy it.